Now, I am responsible for all of the changes in the name. I will take responsibility for that. But Eddie, now I understand why they didn't want me to change it one more time. 'Cause I said, I've got another idea about this name. But let me tell you why the name was really important to me and why it's important for all of you to be here and why I wanted to do this before we started doing things on the site. Because I wanted an opportunity to tell you how much we appreciate all the support we've gotten for this idea. But let me go to the name for a moment. These guys wanted to call it an urban teaching and extension and research center. Not a good name, okay, because it doesn't reflect what we're going to do. The first word that had to be there was partnership. And one of the things that I find interesting about MSU's role in the community is that a lot of people know us because of a project in their community, but know us because of a project in someplace else. And we have been engaged in food systems, food work for a very long time. Extension has been here for 100 years. We have about 38 people in Detroit, more in Wayne County. We already have sites in Youthville and Focus Hope. And an office in Woodward, but we wanted to signal very much that the way we work and the way we must work is in partnership with you. So part of the time it took to do this, and part of not going forward with some other ideas in the past, is that we didn't feel that we were in an alignment on what partnership meant. And it was important to put that in the title to reaffirm that's what we're about. Like any family, we may not always agree on everything, and we're going to push the edge of the envelope a little bit on the other two aspects of this title, learning and innovation. Because the purpose is to learn together. And when we look at the other 13 sites like this around the state, there's active engagement in not simply coming and look and seeing what's happening, but in defining the problems we gently work on. Because we're going to need people to come here and help us figure out what needs to happen, because we think there are soils here that represent some problems and some challenges as well as some opportunities in urban settings. There are some ways to show different kinds of things, so that you don't have to decide which variety might be better. As we look about weather variabilities, we look at other things, we can test that out for you and you can come and help us. Then you get to take it back to wherever you are in the community, and you're part of our team, because we need feedback from you in a constant way so we can make it better. I know that's what's happening in other parts as we put this model in place. And it is important and that's why learning is there. Because we're all going to learn together. We're all going to learn together. We'll bring some expertise, some assets. You're going to bring expertise and assets. You're going to help us understand about soil variability as we try to look at the landscape and sustainability, about water resources, again, about plant varieties, about ways we can extend and work with the product center that's already in the Eastern Market as one of our other sites to look at food entrepreneurship. We can bring some of that expertise here when it's necessary to do that and when we're ready to do that. Because that's another important aspect of how we move together. You've talked about the health aspects. Because there's nothing worse than having food insecurity. And that means not simply the absence of food, it means not having the right food. Okay? And we've got to start defining food insecurity as having the right food. So the innovation part is not simply doing a project here that says, gee whiz, we found that if you use this plant in this soil, you can get 10% more productivity. It's about taking that and moving it across the city, using this as the hub, the beacon for that kind of development, so that people come here and we learn together across the city and we move it out. And out of that can come businesses, it can come lots of things. It can come children who get excited about STEM and have hands-on experiences to augment 4-H programs. All those are imaginable, and that's why I changed the title. Okay. Because I wanted it to convey what we're going to try to accomplish together. We'll have our rough spots, that I know. This has taken a little bit longer than I imagined, but bureaucracies I found are maybe even worse than mine, as some faculty would tell you, because I'm sometimes a little slow. But we're now at this place. And again, the reason for doing it now is I wanted the neighborhoods and the people to understand what we're going to try to build. So I hope you take copies of these signs wherever you go and ask people what they think their priorities are. We've already done a lot of that, but we need to continue to do that. And when the sign goes up after we do this today, and I settled on the name, then you'll know it's there, but you'll know it's there as a harbinger as we think about agriculture for things to come in this space. Harbinger for things to come in this space. I'd like us to gather again when we start planting and doing things, because we need a constant reminder that this is an ongoing process. When we make this kind of commitment, when you look at the other sites like this across the state, you got us for a long time. Got to tell you. You got us for a long time. It may not be the same thing 10 years from now or 5 years from now than we're doing today, but you got us for the long haul. And that's the other important symbol of this from my perspective. And we'll move it out to neighborhoods, and those may be shorter-lived projects as things develop. But this is sort of the epicenter of that kind of work as we think about urban food systems. So thank you very much for letting us come to your neighborhood. Yeah. And thanks to the city for letting us come to the city in this way. And also I wanted to thank people like Russ King, who's in the audience, who's been one of those behind-the-scenes backers of this project, with his spirit and his vision, as well as some financial resources. And you'll see that coming into the community as well, not just our money, but ours together. And Russ, thank you very much for what you've done and your vision. He is as frustrated as all of you about how long this has taken, so I'll guarantee you that. But we're going to try to move that together. And you all, because now all of you, whether are part of Team MSU, and Team MSU for the model urban food systems, not simply for Detroit, but for the country.